One of my favorite things about Helldivers 2 is that your character doesn't get any better. You, as an individual, simply get good. So real patriots never stop trying to improve. That's why I'm here, to better prepare you for the real deal. So here's 10 tips in under 10 minutes for Helldivers 2. If you find any of them helpful, go ahead and liberate that like button to spread managed democracy across the universe. But to get 10 tips in under 10 minutes, we gotta be quick about it. So let's dive right on into it, starting with tip number 10. Being quick about it is what this tip's all about. And what's the fastest way to spread freedom across the universe? Well, that would be a hell bomb. These big booms are beautiful. But Helldiver, this here's the real deal. It might be fun to call in dozens of them and just to watch them blow up, but all you need is one. When you're dealing with rogue research stations, it is the same building that you need to destroy every time. It's this gray one right here. You can also take it out with a 500 kilogram bomb, but knowing which one will help you do this quickly so that you can efficiently spread liberty to all the enemies of democracy. However, keeping yourself moving is also what tip number 9 is all about. There are many offensive stratagems in the game. Knowing which one is best for a certain circumstance is what separates cannon fodder from the real deal. Of course, by this point, you're probably overly familiar on which stratagem is to be used to destroy fabricators and bug nests. But dealing with reinforcements is also a critical use of stratagems. You do not want to get bogged down, because this is how you will perpetuate an endless death loop cycle. Bot ships are relatively easy to deal with, but bug breaches are a whole nother can of worms. Your orbital cluster munitions are designed to shut these down and shut these down fast. Plug those breaches with these precise strikes. Just make sure to call it out to your teammates so that they don't make the ultimate sacrifice. Running through a mission fast seems to be a theme of this episode, so I'd like to stay on this topic and tell you how you can speed things up by slowing them down with tip number 8. It is incredibly tempting to not run and gun your way through every map all the time. This won't work out for you on higher difficulties, because Helldiver, this here's the real deal. Utilizing the game's stealth mechanics can make the difference between passing or failing harder missions. Recent balance changes make this a skill that you have to practice to get good at. As a part of these balance fixes, you'll want to learn how to use weather effects to your advantage. Snowstorms, smog, and fog can all lower the enemy's visibility. It is far easier to hit that charger or tank with your 500 kilogram bomb when you sneak up on them. And these resources are incredibly scarce, so don't waste them. Get your sneak level up to 100. But if you happen to waste these resources, don't worry, Helldiver. That's what tip number 7 is all about. Did you use your last 500 kilogram bomb to take out those 2 chargers that were harassing you? Don't worry, Helldiver. This here's the real deal. There are multiple alternative methods to close bug holes and to take out bot fabricators. One of the ways that surprised me the most is to use the recoilless rifle. Using it against bug holes is pretty self-explanatory, but you can ricochet the rounds off the top of the vents for the bot fabricators. That blew my mind. And it's slower than the autocannon, so you can really enjoy that shot. However, alternative methods of destruction is what tip number 6 is all about. First, I'd like to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, my subscribers. Thank you all so much. Reaching that milestone of 1,000 of you really blew my mind, and I appreciate it so much. Let me know in the comments down below what you think our next milestone should be as a community, because I'm still blown away by it. And if you're not subscribed, you should think about tapping that button. I try to put out videos like this every Monday with the objective to not just inform, but to entertain. With that said, let's strap back into our hell pod and dive back into the real deal. We finally did it, Helldivers. We finally liberated Malevelon Creek. Now, I'm no new cadet. I remember when the planet first fell, and while I spend most of my time working on the major orders, I was so happy to see that major order on Easter Day to retake the creek, because back when it first fell, I remember being swamped by the bots. So many of them. The trees were speaking binary so loudly, and I would just call in all of my stratagems to eliminate the hordes of armored enemies pouring down on me, spraying at the little eye hole of the walkers, hoping that I could hit that pilot, and eventually unloading all of my grenades on them, only for a tank to crest the top of the hill, and I had nothing that I could do about it. But now, I have the experience. Don't forget that resupply stratagem is an offensive stratagem as well. When you are out of everything, you can call it down on the turret head of these tanks or any other heavy to eliminate them. Use these stratagems responsibly and offensively. This way you'll be able to keep on moving. And keeping yourself moving is what tip number 5 is all about. One of my favorite missions on any operation is to launch an ICBM. Nothing says freedom and democracy quite like a massive explosion that just ripples the air as the shockwave spreads across you. So liberating. But this is also one of the longer missions. Beginning the launch alerts all of the enemies in your vicinity and can result in you being overwhelmed rapidly. In order to avoid this, you can start unlatching the locking mechanisms of the missile silo as soon as you first boot up the mission terminal. So while one of your teammates are doing the puzzles, the other ones can be undoing the latches so that all they need to do is tap that button to open the silo. But now let's talk about accomplishing side objectives faster with tip number 4. We're going to cover 2 side objectives in this one tip. The first is going to be the artillery. You can bounce the artillery shelves like a basketball to move them into the artillery station faster. And you can actually align radar towers by yourself. As you rotate the satellite disc, it will make a beat when it is in the correct spot, like so. I'm on it. Meaning that your team can split up and achieve other tasks while someone is working on this. But now let's save your time with upgrading your ship as we get into tip number 3. Upgrading your ship can seem like a massive task at the start of the game, but there's no reason to despair, Helldiver. This here's the real deal. Becoming more experienced can help you do everything faster. Samples spawn in the same place at each specific point of interest. Once you find them, make a mental or physical note, and they will be there every time you come back to this location with only a few variables. Well, really only one variable, and that being the difficulty of the mission that you are on. The easiest way to get green samples specifically is on the extermination missions for the bugs. This map always has the same 6 samples right off Eagle 1's landing platform. These missions are super quick as well, so you can get 6 samples every 5 minutes and rack them up quick. Dare I say, even faster than your basic training was. But now it's time to speed on into tip number 2. I'm sure many of you already know this, so I'm specifically saying it for those of you who don't go into the spores from the spore tower if you can avoid it. This isn't because the bugs are some type of green-skinned alien species that spreads through spores. This is because it's far less risky to clear out the smog at a distance and then get the lay of the land. I've seen so many cadets look at their risk, type in their favorite stratagem, and then run bravely into the unknown, only to have that reinforcement stratagem pop up 10 seconds later. Don't be that guy. You can literally shoot these with a machine gun at a distance to destroy them. There's no excuse. But now we need to use all of these tips in unison as we get into tip number 1. One of my favorite things about Helldivers 2 is all the optional side objectives. The game doesn't force you to do any of these, and individually, they aren't worth a lot. However, seeing the 1 star pop up with the text "unremarkable performance" feels brutal and motivates most people to grind every single mission to find even that singular manufactory on the opposite side of the map before they extract. However, what the game doesn't tell you is that all of these are also a trap. The longer you are in a mission, the more difficult enemies that spawn. This can also make the game much more fun, but you'll want to be aware of it and bake it into your squad's objectives. Are you hunting for samples, or do you want to make an impact on the planet? Then getting in and out fast should be a priority. But if you're just trying to make it to that new level cap of, 150? Taking your time to complete all these side objectives might just come with a little extra fun. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all the things that I'm supposed to say, but mostly I just hope that you have a wonderful day. Here's some more content of mine that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.